Thank you, listeners, for joining us. We are always excited when we get together on Friday, and especially with this group, managing our public lands and talking about all the exciting opportunities, California Trailer Interpretive Center, as well as the stewardship of our public lands through fire safety. Clint Mothershed is back after a long winter's, I would say, sleep, but you're always busy, Clint, so I'm sure you found something to keep yourself busy during the winter. You and Smokey Bear both.
Yeah, well, he was hibernating, but yes,
yes.
There's a lot of paperwork and a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that happens this time of year in fire in general. So, yeah.
Yes,
Thanks
thank you.
for having me back.
And then Amanda Halsey is here, and she, of course, with California Trailer Interpretive Center. And thank you so much, Amanda, for everything that you bring. There are so many exciting programs for the month of March.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to be back. Happy to be telling you guys about what we got going on out at the California Trail Center. Yep, like you said, March is going to be an exciting month. We have a great variety of programs, starting as always with our bows and throws every single Sunday. So that alternates from archery on March 3rd, 17th, and 31st to knife and axe throwing on March 10th and 24th. So that's every single Saturday, just back and forth between the archery and the knife and axe throwing. And that all will be taking place at 1 p.m., always free. And then this one I'm very excited about. We'll be starting this one tomorrow. It's going to be the Women of the West program out at the Trail Center at the South Fork Room. I have been working diligently on putting together a nice program to talk about so many inspirational women of the West that have shaped our country. So I'm really looking forward to bringing that one to Elko tomorrow. That will be at 1 p.m. as well. After I talk to you guys about some inspirational women, I bought some really pretty kind of westerny looking stationery for everybody to write a letter to an inspirational woman in their life. So I thought about breaking out the dip pens so we can do it old fashioned like that, or we can just do it with regular old pencils, no big deal. So that'll be what we have going on tomorrow at 1 p.m. at the South Fork Room. And then our affiliates, Nevada Outdoor Schools, they are going to be putting on a Basics of Embroidery. Well, that's our good friend Macy out there. She's going to be doing Basics of Embroidery, which I'm really looking forward to. I've never done that before, but I will personally be going to this one on my day off because I'm looking forward to it. So she's going to be teaching us how to do a little bit of embroidery. And then after that, we have a sewing sewing program done by some of our volunteers. We're going to be doing animal pin cushions. So I think you're going to make like a little chicken, I want to say, and there might be other animals that we can do. And then you fill them with rice, and then you can take them home and use them for your crafting corner. So those are super fun, and that will be done by our volunteers, Jackie and Brenda, and they're so wonderful. They're so passionate about sewing. It's really wonderful to have them as a part of our team. And of course, we'll be doing that with our old-fashioned Stinger treadle sewing machine. And then we have more modern ones as well. Although, like I tell you, every time we have a sewing program, people will line up to use the old-fashioned one because they just love it so much. And then moving on to March 16th, we will be having a winter ecology hike with Ranger Glenn. So he's going to be taking some people around the center and talking about what animals do in the winter. And the picture that we have for that is actually a photo of some mule deer that was taken just right out on our back porch out at the Trail Center. So there's lots of wildlife to be found out there. And if you don't see something at the time, you're guaranteed to at least see their footprints in the snow, or of course scat as well, which can be a fun part of tracking the animals. So he'll be doing that on March 16th, and that is also at 1 p.m. So these are easy to remember. They're almost always at 1 p.m. And then towards the end of the month, Ranger Evie will be doing hunting slings. So she's been working on that program, and she's done it once before where they did slings made out of leather. And this is an old Native American sling that they would be making and then using. And then this time she has decided to do a weaving instead of using leather. So they're going to be weaving their very own hunting slings. And then we were donated a big bag of corks. So they're going to be using corks as their ammo. And they fly pretty far. We've been doing it in the office. Don't tell my boss. We've been doing it in the office. We didn't break anything, I promise. But those hunting slings are so much fun. And it's fun for all ages, so anybody can come out for those. And then lastly, we have the Nevada Department of Wildlife joining us at the end of the month on March 30th. They're going to be doing their Skins and Skulls program with us, so they'll be describing some different animals that live in our area. We'll have pelts and different skulls, I think real ones and replicas. And then at the end of that, we will be doing casts of animal footprints. So I believe that they have only 25 of those casts, so it's going to be first come, first serve for that program with Endow, but then it'll also be free as well. So all of our programs are always free, and it's just going to be so much fun. This month is jam-packed full of really interesting programs, I'd say.
That's right. And of course, being springtime, it's a great time. It's unpredictable weather-wise, but that's what's so nice. There are indoor and outdoor activities. Amanda, California Trail Interpretive Center is just 8 miles west of Velco. You take Interstate 80, take the Hunter exit, so it's super easy on and off. And all the programs you were describing being free, admission is also free.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So when you're there, you can go and check out the museum. We have so much stuff to see there as well. We've got all of our murals to see. There's hands-on things you can do at the museum. And then we actually even have a database where you can search to see if any of maybe your family came along on the trail. So that is all free at the museum.
A lot of interactive things and artwork on display. And as you mentioned, all these interactive programs in which involve community volunteers. This is amazing outreach, Amanda.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And if anybody that's out there is listening and they're interested in volunteering, we're always looking for volunteers. So you can reach out to us on our Facebook, or you can call us, or you can just come on out. Our phone number is 775-738-1849.
Yep, just like the days of the year of old, and of course the fantastic immigration of all the pioneers who followed the trail, and now, as we're recalling, they were on the hunt for gold, and they stepped over the richest gold reserves in North America right here on their way. They just couldn't get to it. So.
Yes, that's absolutely right.
Yeah, that's exciting. So when we come back and talk to you too, because we probably check back in, we're going to switch over to Clint, talk about fire mitigation. It's already time to talk about fire season ahead, but we know Trail Days is also in the works, and that'll be here before you know it. So.
Yes, it will, and I'm so looking forward to that.
Yep, exactly. All of this great stuff builds on the offerings of California Trail Interpretive Center and a very dedicated staff. So that's our check-in with Amanda Halsey, and now it's time to roll things over to Clint. Well, I guess we said welcome back, Clint, and thank you. You've always got your eye on the landscape, and you said you noticed a bit of a green up.
Yeah. You can drive along Interstate 80 and pretty much any road in Elko County now, and you just notice a little bit of green popping up there out of the ground. And given the weather and the precip we're expected to receive, it's going to be growing. Plus, we're going to be dealing with the carryover fine fuels from last year, since we didn't get enough snow to compact that down to where it could decompose. So it could be a little bit more busier of a season than what we've seen in the last few years.
Well, in fact, we might want to explain to people that when there is a lot of snow, that does lead to more green, and that eventually dries out and can lead to more fire.
Yeah, it's the wetter years when we have our bigger fire seasons. It's kind of counterintuitive what people think, but when we have the drought, we just don't get the fine fuel growth. So the cheatgrass is just not as dense, and as a result, we don't seem to see that extreme fire spread.
And so we want to obviously remind people that with this outlook that we have, transitioning to kind of neutral conditions, that could mean this fire season, I guess, extends into we've been seeing that right into the fall season.
Yeah, we can definitely expect that. Coming out of El Nino, it doesn't affect too much, other than the fact that means that we've received precipitation since the surface temperatures of the ocean have heated up, and through evaporation, it's carried over here, and we just tend to see those wetter years. So looking forward for the next 4 months, we are basically expected to see average temperatures and average precipitation through April, with a cooler and drier May, and then followed by average temps and average precipitation for June. So historically, looking back, I can't compare it to a typical year, but when we do get this type of a setup, we're pretty much expecting to start seeing fire mid-June, 4th of July, something like that. And I don't think the meteorologists, they didn't tend to say that there might be an alternative to what they're seeing develop, so we're expecting it.
So, Clint, any ideas on what is going on in Texas, right? I'm sure you're keeping an eye on that. I mean, because sometimes we send people to those things.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we have folks all over the eastern seaboard. They're helping with prescribed burns. A lot of the states are proactive over there as far as managing their forests, and they like to take out the understory, and it's healthy for the forests. And got dozers out there already, and it's nothing out of the ordinary to send fire resources to Texas. Actually, although I don't do primary fire suppression anymore, I've been to Texas on more fire assignments than anything else. So they tend, I think El Nino also has an impact on when they see their fire seasons and when they start seeing their drought, and it's a little bit different than us. But yeah, they're experiencing some extreme fire growth, and they're having a pretty hard time getting things around it. This time of year, we're not necessarily a skeleton crew, but we do have some firefighters on that we, if they start calling for us, they always use the closest forces concept, which is the closest resources will get ordered up and sent first. But we're imagining that this is just the beginning, so Texas could be busy for a while.
Mm-hmm. And Clint, this is a good segue into why it's important to start working on creating defensible space here at home.
Yeah, the weather's nice. I know that the grass will still be growing, but I really wanted to focus on defensible space, or what some people in the industry called home hardening. I hate to paint this picture, but it's the reality of what we have is we don't have enough fire trucks for everybody's driveways when we do get fires in neighborhoods. So we need the public to be proactive. Through our efforts over the last 5-6 years, we definitely have seen Spring Creek, for example. A lot of people have taken it upon themselves to take care of their lands and even possibly helping out their neighbors, and it's much appreciated. I think Spring Creek is close to becoming a Firewise community if they're not already, and that's a pretty big deal. So what I wanted to focus on today was they've identified 3 zones around your home to where you should do certain things within those zones, the exterior of your home. So, for example, Zone 0 is, they call it the ember resistant zone at 0 to 5 feet. It's basically reducing your home's vulnerability to embers and flames. So you want to remove your wood piles, you want to clear out your gutters, you want to pull flammable materials from underneath your porches out. I just watched a video the other day from Colorado, one of the big fires they've had. The fire was a half-mile away. This was in a newer neighborhood developed, and some folks didn't have xeriscape type landscaping. They had some mulch, the colored mulch, and it was off of a Ring camera, and the fire truck drove by. They noticed a little smoke right off this home's porch. And so they ran over there with, first a firefighter with a water bottle, put out what he thought he got, and then they came over with a hose, and then they moved on because they thought they had it. And as the Ring camera kept progressing, you see the fire truck come back, and then you start seeing that it had gotten up a pillar that was just a stucco pillar that had a hollow void in it, and the flame had already gotten underneath their porch and up in the pillar, and that eventually that home was a total loss. Firefighters were there and they couldn't do anything about it. So, and that was all from an ember a half a mile away. So when we deal with the continuity of fuels we have here in Elko, with just the consistent grass and the spotting we can experience with the winds we can get, it's a grim scenario, and the fire folks do the best they can, but sometimes it's like you just keep chasing fire. It spots ahead of you. You think you've got an anchor point. You think you've got the ability to start getting around it or hook it, and then before you know it, there's a spot out in front of you. So it's not necessarily a moot point, but you continue to do stuff, and now you have another fire that you have to deal with, and you have to put resources on that. And if it's in a community and it's jumping from street to street or house to house, yard to yard, whatever it is, it just creates this really crazy environment. It's already smoky, it's hazy, it's an eerie quiet, and so we just would like people to understand that we do our best we can do, and right now the agencies are getting together to do some preseason coordination, adjusting our run cards at dispatch, using that closest forces concept. It's not necessarily just a national thing, it's a localized thing that can be used at all levels within a state, within a city, a county, whatever it is, all the way up to the national level. So also within that Zone 0, you just want to minimize, like I was talking about, the combustible mulches and those dang juniper-like shrubs. They're kind of cute, and they grow easy. They love this climate, but those things have so much oil in them. They're called little green gas cans. So once you get fire into that, they're really intense and they burn really fast. So That zone 0 is the primary zone to focus on. And maybe a way to do it as a homeowner, say in Spring Creek or one of these rural communities, is just focus on zone 0 one weekend. And then the next weekend we'll talk about this next, but zone 1, which is a lean, clean, and green zone, which is 5 to 30 feet. The lean part is only, you want a small amount of vegetation aside from your lawn, as long as it's green, present. And then you can take your fuels, such as your trees and stuff, you group them in little islands, and that breaks up that continuity of fuels. So fire can't just travel consistently. It has to have a wind or an ember, it decreases the probability of making it to your primary structure. The clean in that lean, clean, and green zone would be removing diseased and dead trees, as well as those dang flammable juniper bushes. And the easiest way I found to get rid of those is to basically wrap a chain around the base of them, hook it up to the truck, and jerk them out of the ground.
People that have trucks kind of think that's fun sometimes, right? You might have someone that likes to do that.
Yeah, it is actually really fun.
Satisfying, I guess. Yeah.
Satisfying, yes.
Oh,
yes.
Little green gas cans.
Yes. And then the green part of it is just keeping everything well manicured, maintained, and well irrigated. So, and then the zone 2 is probably on the periphery of a lot of the folks in the rural areas property, which is just, it's a reduced fuel zone. You just want to mow your grass or trim some sage out, whatever you can do to prevent fire from being able to spread to your home or any of your belongings, your RVs or whatever it is. So it's just removing dead and diseased vegetation. Those lower tree branches, you want to take them out so fire can't get into the tree. The winds, if it's a 20-foot tree, you're dealing with 20-foot winds at the top. So you can get more ember transport that way. It can transport farther. They do get pretty intense when they get into the what we call the canopy, for lack of better terms. So you just really want to break up that continuity, keep everything irrigated. If it's diseased, maybe bring in an arborist to see if they can do anything about it. If not, it might be time to remove that before it becomes a problem. I know a lot of pine trees around here right now are stressed from the last few years. You can see it everywhere. You'll see pine trees kind of just dying here and there, even in front of the BLM office. And it's just due to the extreme droughts we had, a couple, like 2 out of the last 3 years. Obviously, last winter and spring and into the summer, it was pretty good as far as precipitation came. But and then the main thing, wood piles should just be kept away from all structures during fire season. I mean, it's okay, I guess, have it on your porch in the winter when you can cover it. But once fire season comes, it's good to not only just pull away from your homes, and then also a good place for spiders to set up. So those folks out there who don't like spiders, maybe it's a good way to keep them out of your homes in the summer.
That's right. Kind of keep that area clean too.
Yeah.
And then also in all of this is just creating a safe zone. If you can imagine your house, if there were a fire, and where would a fire truck park? Where would people stage to defend themselves, right? Where you've got swing sets or old cars or things like that, right?
Yeah. So in these rural communities, everybody has a septic tank. It's really good to identify that with something, a fence post, a green T-post, those reflective markers that folks like to put in their driveways in the winter so they know where their driveway is when they're plowing snow or blowing snow. Just something to identify it. It's obvious you can see most times you can see because it's just green in that area. Even in the summer, it's just green there. But at nighttime, it's not so easy to see that stuff, or the reflective materials or a post, they'll drive around that. But you don't want a 15-ton fire truck collapsing your septic tank. That, for one, is just a nightmare of scenario to think about, but also you, in the situation where you're dealing with a fire, maybe extreme fire, that fire truck is now disabled, for lack of better terms. So, which also compromises our firefighter safety, and our number one goal is everybody comes home safe. So, for more information, I know that was a lot. So, just to get more information, you can go to nevadafireinfo.org or livingwithfire.com. Tons of great resources in there, and both those websites link to each other, and they also link to Fire Adapted Nevada, which last week we just went to the Fire Adapted Summit in Reno. So, it was a pretty good turnout there, and a very informative session for not only homeowners but fire professionals as well, because they bring in doctors, they bring in people to study this, the dynamics, the social dynamics, all sorts of dynamics that relate or tie into what I'm talking about.
We had some news over the winter too, Clint, in that our areas in Spring Creek, places that are close to Lamoille Canyon and the foothills, the Ruby Mountains, they've all been sort of adopted as part of this strategic project, right, to mitigate fire, and some federal resources are going to be going to that.
Yeah, the shared stewardship focal area is what you're talking about. It's pretty much, I think, the Elko area, Spring Creek area, Rendon, Osino, I would have to guess that's around 90% of our population base, and it pretty much incorporates all that into it. And it is, you'll see the green strips around Rendon, Osino, and Spring Creek even. The BLM has green strips. And then within Spring Creek, the county and NDF have been mowing their equestrian right-of-ways, which are great because they're designed for recreational use of the people, but they also serve as excellent fire breaks within those communities.
We know the Elko County Fire Protection District, they were out burning some slash piles over the winter.
Yep, doing some fuels mitigation and getting rid of that stuff altogether, which is pretty good. The BLM, we also try to do some of that. It's just not around the community. Right now we're focusing on Spruce Mountain. We have some brush piles out there we'd like to burn, but weather tends to always affect us when we're trying to do these piles. And then once we get into migratory bird season, we're no longer allowed to do it. So we have small windows to do it where we're not concerned about fires escaping a brush pile and getting into the wildland, and then and when the birds start coming through. So and in the wintertime, it's those piles are less flammable. So it's just it's a situation that you don't have a lot of time to do. There's a lot of preparation that goes into it, but to implement it, you have a small window.
Right. Yeah. Hard to start a fire in a snowstorm or on a pile of wet brush.
And simple things like if the wind is not within the prescription that you have assigned to that burn plan, then you can't burn. So, I mean, it's a lot of science goes behind those decision matrices, as we call them.
Talking with Clint Mothershed. He is our fire mitigation specialist from the Bureau of Land Management. It is that time of year, and what we were just discussing is perfect to lead us into the next topic, Clint, which is how local homeowners can take advantage of burning on their private property, but with permits.
Yes. So the Elko County Fire Protection District, you would just want to go to their website. It's right there on their homepage, right in the center, and it's the process to sign up for a burn permit. Ultimately, you'll be asked, there's a lot of questions that you have to agree to, and you have to really read it doesn't take long, maybe 10-minute process, and ultimately in the end, you'll be given the opportunity to burn. And you can't just burn whenever you want to when you have one of those things. You don't go through that process and that's it. The phone number you use to register to have a burn permit will actually be your burn permit number, and then you have to call, and all this information is on their website. You have to call the dispatch, the non-emergency line, I believe, at the dispatch center to let them know you're burning. So when a neighbor sees smoke in the sky, they don't call fire trucks. They don't call saying there's a fire and send fire trucks there. They can look at their list and say, yes, we've got 2 people out there burning right now. So more than likely, we'll send a truck, but more than likely, it's just them burning.
All right. So this is burning. Burning is open right now. That's important to emphasize. You can do this if you follow this process.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. It's not for household waste. It's not for, garbage and stuff like that. It's meant primarily for vegetation and fuels mitigation.
All right. And you can find all that at elkocountynv.net. As you said, just click on that page and find all the information. So then I guess before we leave the topic of fire, we just want to remind people that most fires, or at least 50-50, I guess, depending on the season or the year, are at least human caused.
Yeah, it ranges between, it could be 80, it could be, for example, last summer we had a lot of human-caused fires, not a lot that Mother Nature's caused because of just the fuel moisture, the soil moisture, everything was nice and green, and we just didn't see many extreme large fires. The whole entire state of Nevada didn't really have a lot of fires last year, but I think this year we are going to see the opposite side of that spectrum. So, and right now, outside of lightning, our top causes are roadside still throughout the state. It makes sense. A lot of roadways, a lot of long roadways, and all we can ask and reinforce with the public is that check your vehicles. Maintain them. If you've got bad tires, if your car's running rough, take it to a mechanic. Just anything you can do, because you'll if it happens along a highway, you'll lose your vehicle. I've seen it. They burn pretty good. And by the time with these rural areas and extended response times, by the time the fire trucks do show up, the public will try to use all the extinguishers they can find to put it out, but it's not until the fire trucks show up that they actually have success. And sometimes I believe they just have to let them burn all the way out.
Yeah, sometimes with those afternoon winds, it just lifts and takes off. So
yeah, so we can't stop what Mother Nature does, but we can stop what we do as far as starting fires, and just simple things like maintaining your vehicles, checking your trailer chains. It goes a long ways.
Thank you, Clint. Well, before we shift back over to close out today's program with Amanda Halsey, and again, just a reminder of cool stuff at California Trail Interpretive Center. You're going to be at the Elko Sportsman's Expo tomorrow, is that right? Or tomorrow and Saturday or Sunday.
We will have our fire prevention booth there for the Northeastern Nevada Fire Prevention Group, and we will have defensible space materials there for the public, and I encourage everybody to go there. It's a great way to support local businessmen and women, and also there's NDOW has the Department of Wildlife has Kids Zone, so it's a good way to educate kids about hunting, and tying into that, you start talking about campfires and all that, and again, that goes into my realm of fire safety and fire prevention. So it's really fun for the kids. I've never seen a kid leave there crying or frowny. They always have their T-shirts that they've got to color, and some years they get to tie fishing flies, and there's always some really cool stuff that I'm envious that the kids get to do it, and I just got to watch them do it while they're doing it. So, and then the following weekend is just to remind everybody is a health and fitness fair. We may have a fire truck outside with some defensible space materials as well. And then the last event I want to talk about is the Fire in the Hole Cornhole Tournament. It is put on by our interagency Type 1 hotshot crew, the Ruby Mountain Hotshots. All proceeds go to the Wildland Firefighter Foundation, which is a great foundation. It helps families that have been impacted through the loss of life due to some wildfire activities. So, cornhole tournament, they'll have food, some drinks. They'll have doing some raffles, and I actually look forward to going to it this year. I've always tend to be out of town that weekend for work, so I look forward to getting there. That's on May 4th. I believe it'll be at the Elko Bass Club. You'll start seeing flyers all over town on the digital billboards, and just encourage everybody to come. It's a great event, and we're trying to get it to grow and become even bigger.
Yeah, very important fundraiser, and with an emphasis on fun, but a significant, obviously 100% go to this Wildland Firefighter Foundation, which, as you mentioned, Clint, that's a huge service. Sometimes it's the only thing that families have after a devastating incident. So, yeah.
If you have any questions, call Justin at 753-0208, and if you have something maybe you'd like to donate, or maybe you have an idea of a way that your business or you could participate within that event, I'm sure they would be more than happy to have you show up.
Excellent. I know we're looking forward to the event, and we're going to reach out to Justin, see if he wants to come on the radio, and you make it look so easy, Clint. Hopefully he'll come on and talk about all the great things the foundation does. So thank you so much. It's great, again, to see you. We know spring is around the corner. Clint Mothershed is back on the radio on the BLM radio show. So
watch out.
Yeah, watch out, everybody. So, and Amanda, we're going to let you kind of close out the program. Again, just to remind everybody, March is exciting. You can find out all the information that we talked about earlier, CaliforniaTrailCenter.org. I believe that's right.
Yes, that's it.
Yep. And then, I'll scoot you up to that microphone a little bit so that you can remind us, too, that an important date to mark on the calendar is in June for the California Trail Center.
Oh, yes. So in June, we are going to be having our Trail Days event, and that is just going to be the first week. So I actually think it's the first 2 days of June, if that's the weekend.
You're right.
I think so, yeah. It worked out pretty well that way. And that is, of course, I'll give you guys more information as the date approaches, but another free event, and it is 2 days long, and it's going to be so much fun. We have reenactments, we have demonstrations, we have lectures, we have, hopefully we'll have our blacksmith shop maybe up and running by then. I can't make any promises, but, if not, we can stand outside and pretend we're doing stuff. So it'll be a great time, and I just want to say it's March, so it's Women's History Month. Happy Women's History to everybody. Come on out to our Women of the West, and I will give you some information on inspirational women from the 1800s.
Thank you so much for your effort and, of course, your research, your passion and dedication, Amanda. It makes a huge difference, and for including all the different groups that the California Trail Interpretive Center does. You were right about those dates, June 1st and 2nd. I just looked it up on my Elko Convention and Visitors Authority free Elko area events calendar. Which
so good pictures in there.
Aren't they beautiful? Yes.
I have that up in my shop at home.
Yep, a little show and tell. So if they still have calendars, you can pick them up for free at the Elko Convention Center, which is an important partner of what you do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Clint. And thanks, listeners, for joining us for another edition of Elko Live. A lot of inspiration today, so get out there and enjoy. Thank you.